Welcome everyone to my second video, this one on assignment 7083, in which I will be talking about the first document that you create for this assignment. So as you can see, this is the wiki page that gives you your assignment prompt, and I'm just going to scroll down immediately down to task number 1. So this video is about task number 1. So before you write your letter, we need to learn more about who our audience of that letter in item number 2 is. So basically what task number 1 asks you to do is before you just sit down and start writing a letter report to this director of the professional writing program, we need to know who that is. And so this approaches writing as a process in which first we need to learn more about our target audience, their needs, their values, their purposes, so that we can better craft our document to them. And so basically what this is bringing up is a concept called you attitude. Okay, so if I open up my document here and so that I can type that, what is you attitude? So I think of it the best way is you attitude versus me attitude. So if I am writing to you, if I'm writing an email to you asking you to do something, I want to choose my content, my style, my format, my genre based off of what would appeal to you, my reader, not what would appeal to me, the writer, because I'm not trying to convince myself to do anything. And so the idea behind this process is that for our business letter, report on another country to be successful, we need to learn what would appeal to our audience first. And so task number 1 has us research who our audience is so that we can find that out. Okay, so the first thing I would want to know is who is my audience? So from an earlier assignment, you were asked to address the concept of self-assessment and what that challenge is, and what we're encountering right now is a challenge of self-assessment. So remember that the challenge of self-assessment is identifying what we know and what we don't know, adapting our writing process so that we purposefully go seeking that information, and then create an outline based off of everything we know. So at this moment, I know a few things. Let's see. Find my appropriate outline. Here we go. Okay, so as you can see, I've already got a Word document set up with the format necessary for my memorandum, and you can see that it has an RE line because Alex did request this. So this is my audience analysis, and he will be able to see that based off my subject line. Okay, so here's where I am doing my self-assessment of what I know and what I don't know. So what I know about my audience is that they are the director of the professional writing program. I know that the director is the one who requested this report on a foreign country, and I know that the information I provide needs to be written in a professional letter. That's basically everything I got from this page. Okay. But then I also need to, there's a lot of information I don't have. So I've made a list of things I don't know that I think that I will need in order to complete my audience analysis. I need to know the director's name. I may want to know what their degree level is, what their job actually consists of, and what purpose this director might put my information so that I can try to fulfill that for them. Okay, and I'll be addressing this a little bit more under the term things valued later. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just do a Google search and find out who the director of the program for professional writing is. So I might do a search for UIUC, and you can just go to the Illinois website and do this, but I'm just going to do it through Google real quick. So program for professional writing, and see if something comes up. Okay, so it looks like it's now called the program in professional writing. So I'll make sure so that was something I didn't know that I didn't know because it was called something else in the assignment prompt. So now I've learned something that I didn't realize I needed to learn before. So it's now called the Program in Professional Writing. So that's something that I've learned that I'll need to incorporate into my documents. Okay, so this is the Program for Professional Writing, but I need to find out who the director is. So let's see if maybe they're under here. Maybe administration. Director sounds like an administrative title. Okay, here we go. Here it is. It's listed right here. The Director of Programs in Professional Writing is Bruce Erickson, and there's his email. Now, do keep in mind that even though you're drafting this letter to Bruce Erickson, you're not actually going to send this letter to him. You're just going to turn it in like a normal assignment. Okay, so I'm going to click on Bruce Erickson's name after I write down what his name is so that I don't forget it. Bruce Erickson. And then I'm just going to research him a lot. And so I'm just going to kind of breeze through this a little bit, but I'll read his faculty page, research interest, biography, publications. I might even go as far as trying to look up some of his publications and seeing what he's written. So that would be interesting. So you might then take it a step further and do some news article searches or Facebook post searches and see what kinds of things that he's working on. And since he is the director of the programs in professional writing, I might want to back up and learn a bit more about what the program in professional writing does. So that's something I didn't realize that I was going to want to find out. So I'm going to add that to my list. What is the program in professional writing? And so basically what I will do then is, so this is what I've self-assessed is what I need to know, and I'll just go through my online resources to find them out. If I'm not able to find something about his degree, then that may be an indication that it wasn't important to him to list it. But I'll want to know what his job duties are. And I'll want to then think about or learn what the program in professional writing does. And then those two items together, what he does for his job, what the program does, that should tell me how he might be using the information that I report to him about a foreign country. And that will definitely affect what content will be useful for my letter. Okay, so that's step one, is just kind of collecting information, getting everything in your list filled out. If there's more content that you want to research, absolutely add that to the list. So once you have this information, it's time to write the audience analysis. And basically what this is trying to, you're not just reporting what you found out about your audience. The point is, how does what you know about your audience affect the content and style of your letter? Okay, so these are the 2 points you want to make sure you hit in your audience analysis memo. What you know, and how should that affect your letter? Okay, and try to be as specific as possible on point number 2. So what I've broken down here is a couple of structure options. Okay, so there's actually 3 for your body. So structure number 1, you could organize your body paragraphs by what you know. So you could have one body paragraph about something really important you learned about Bruce Erickson. So it might be the fact that he, if you've noticed in our wiki pages, if you scroll to the top, he is the creator of many of our wiki pages. And so that right there is something that I may not have known I didn't know. And that tells me a lot. So it tells me that he has crafted a lot of these assignments. And so that tells me that one reason he might want this report from me is to help him create new assignments or advise students on how to write about these different countries. So I might say in my premise in structure 1, I think that uh, Bruce Erickson may be wanting this report so that he can craft new assignments for the BTW instructional wiki. And then I would support that with specific information, with evidence, because, and then conclude with how that should affect my content in my letter to him, how that should affect my style, and how it should affect my conventions. So style, don't just say professional. Everything we write should be professional. Let's just assume everything we want to write for this class should be professional. Instead, you might ask the question of, do you want to sound friendly? Or do you want to sound more neutral and objective in this letter to the director of the program in professional writing? And conventions are just, for example, would you call him doctor or mister or his full name? So those would be conventions, just things that we do because it's expected. So once you cover, so your premise in this structure would be what you know about your audience, and then the rest of the paragraph would be about how it affects content, style, and conventions. And then you would switch to a new paragraph, list another thing you know about your audience, and again, how that specific item affects content, style, and conventions, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's structure one. You can use that, or you can use structure two. So instead of your premise would be based off of what I want to include in my content. And then your second paragraph would be about your style. And then your third paragraph might be about conventions. And so you're kind of reversing these. So instead of making content, style, and conventions part of your evidence, you can make these the topics of your premises. So I want to make sure that I cover content about, things that'll be helpful for people who've never been to the country before, something like that. So whatever your decision about content is, whatever you decide you want to include or how you want to approach the details of your content in the foreign country report letter, you would make that your premise. This is content I want to include, and these would be reasons why, based off of your audience's identity, based off of the letter genre, based off of Bruce Erickson's purpose or his values. And then you would answer the same questions about your style. What kind of style do you want to use? And then what led you to that decision in terms of Bruce's identity, the genre you're using, the audience, and what they value. And then the third option for your structure is to break it up quite a bit more. Instead, just have a paragraph about your audience, and so have your first body paragraph just be information delivery, and then your second paragraph be about how all of that information in the first paragraph affects content. So this structure might be a lot easier to follow, but it can be more difficult to see the connections between the two paragraphs. So that's just some pros and cons there. And then having a third paragraph about how that information in the first paragraph affects style when you talk about it here in your third paragraph. Okay, so those are the three basic structures I think would make sense. You can pick any of these, but it is important to have structure, have a progression between paragraphs so that you're not bouncing from idea to idea. And remember that each of these paragraphs should have the peck order paragraph structure. So begin with a premise, support it with evidence, and then conclude by answering, why does this matter? And in this case, the question is really, why does this matter for your letter to Bruce? Okay, so that's what you'd be answering in the last sentence of each of your paragraphs at least. Okay. All right. And so the rest of your audience analysis, so again, I like to begin by drafting my body first, and then once I have my ideas down, then I'm okay with writing my opening or my intro. And so in your intro paragraph, you're just setting up context, what this audience analysis is about, whose it's about, what situation it's for, and so on. And then in your closing paragraph, resolve conflicting ideas between your body paragraphs. So as a closing paragraph, It would be great to take the concluding thought from each of your body paragraphs, so why this matters, and then try to make sense to how they matter all together. How are these points related to one point? Okay, and that's what you're trying to do in the closing. You're not just repeating everything you just said. You are trying to explain to me how all of these ideas of yours work together. Okay, so that's the audience analysis. The main things that I'll be looking for, other than just it's written in a memo, will be you answering these questions here. Did you do the research? Do you know enough about Bruce Erickson? And are you able to relate that to planning out your content and the style of your letter? So that's the whole point of this audience analysis is you take information you've learned about your audience and then you are able to see how that should affect what content to include and what style it should be written in. So I want to see a very clear, specific ideas from you planning out your letter. And that's basically what this audience analysis is. It's a plan for how you will write your letter. Okay, so that's it for the audience analysis. I hope that was helpful. Please feel free to bring any of your questions to our virtual classroom or to email them to me. And I hope you'll check out my next video on assignment 7083 and writing the letter to Bruce Erickson. Good luck.